before we start, can we have raise of hands for those that have heard about pandas? Yung kahit hindi pa nagamit, just read some blogs about it or saw some memes about it. Okay, you can put down your hands now. For this topic, we'll talk about your first pandas contribution. I also talked about contributing to pandas earlier this year sa PyCon APAC in Ateneo, Manila. But on that talk, I mostly talked about or focused about the why in terms of why should you contribute to pandas or open source in general. For this one, we will focus more on the how. Sorry, the how. How would you contribute to pandas, or the steps that I would put here could be used naman in general to any kind of open source project that you'd like to contribute to. So the outline for this is basically these are the steps or my personal steps in contributing to pandas or any open source in that matter. First, read the docs, lurk the repo, CI is your friend, addressing feedback, and my personal experience. I'm Kevin, and currently have around 15 contributions on Pandas 3.0, and my recently released na Pandas 2.3. I also have some backport contributions there. I currently work as a DevOps engineer. So what is Pandas to those that haven't heard of it? Basically, Pandas is, I think, one of the most popular libraries in Python. Pandas is basically used in terms of any data-related stuff that you'd like to do using the Python language. Either professionals or newcomers alike, almost all of Pythonistas that need data-related stuff would use Pandas, like data science, data engineering, and even data analysis. And you guys might think that, wait, di ba Pandas has a lot of functions, right? Has a lot of methods and classes. But I have to stop you there, no? And I actually contributing is just easy. This is my first. Wait, let me. Yan. Kita ba? Actually, parang same lang. Yan. If you can see there, this is my first ever contribution to Pandas. It is just a docstring change that changes the documentation related to data frame group by function. Basically, I just changed the description of the parameter right there from degrees of freedom to delta degrees of freedom, yada, yada, yada. The aim of this contribution was just to kind of expound and improve the documentation of the DDoF parameter in data frame.group by. And yeah, this is just a one-line change, and I can already say I'm a Pandas contributor, by the way. And so yeah, basically contributing to Pandas isn't really that hard. And kasi you can pick your issues that you'd like to work on. So there are levels naman on the issues. There are complex and hard issues, and there are issues just like this, which is just a documentation change. So for first-timers, it is usually recommended to work on documentation changes first, kind of to get a feel on how to contribute to Pandas or how it works. So here are the steps to contributing. First is read the docs, read the documentation. Okay, this can be applicable to all of open source projects. All open source projects, since from the word open source, they are very dependent to contributors and maintainers. They have a very descriptive and very high quality na contributing documentation. So from this documentation, for in this case, sa Pandas, you can already almost do everything that you need before contributing. we have here, yeah, from the table of contents, you can read right there, but most of here, you can already set up your dev environment for contributing to Pandas, best, how do you call, tips for successful pull requests, kind of code standards and tools that are used by the uh, Pandas community in terms of contributing. So before anything else, first thing you have to do is read the docs, because almost 99% of your questions will be answered by the documentation. Next is lurk the repository. So what I mean by lurking the repository is just going through, let's, for example, here, going through Pandas issues. This is the Pandas repo, this is the issues tab, and just looking through the issues right here and kind of seeing the titles kung ano yung interesting sa'yo and kind of reading about it or taking a look about it. So for here, data frame to dict. So from dict, meron siyang bug. So that's quite interesting. So lurking is just looking through here. This is the reproducible example, description, expected output, yada yada yada, and there's even a PR about it. So you could even further look into that. So how did he open this PR, or what are the changes that he did or they did? And you can see here how he opens his PR or their PR. There are CIs that are failing and files changed. Basically, that's how lurking the repo, how you lurk the repo. And from this, from going through the issues, eventually you will see some pretty easy issue na can be interesting to you. For starters, meron din silang labels na good first issue, which is most of the time very simple issues, mostly docs changes or one-line changes sa code base. So ito actually medyo marami nga for these past few months, which is nice kasi Pandas sprint rin tayo for day 2. And for those that will be attending that, mostly this would be the issues that I would recommend taking over. Once you've looked the repo, looked at some issues, looked at some PRs, found some issues that you find interesting, and took or started working on your PR, opened it, the next thing is CI is your friend. So CI are basically, whenever you open a PR, I guess most open source has this. Whenever you open a PR, there is a GitHub CI that runs unit tests on your PR. This makes sure that all of the 1 million functions ng Pandas are working as expected. This makes sure that there are no unexpected behavior that has been changed from your PR. And as you can see in these tips, as much as possible, ensure that the CI is in a green state, which is basically all tests should have been passed. Also, the maintainers, or basically the people that review your code, merge it, will or might ignore your PR if it has failing CIs, because it means that it still has some changes that are needed. But actually, in my experience, in terms of CI, there are also cases in Pandas that the CI is unrelated. So when the CIs are failing, you'll have to check the logs, the CI logs, to make sure that it's unrelated. You could comment on your PR that it looks unrelated, but if it's related, you have to fix it to put the CI in a green state. Now, for addressing feedback. So people that usually give feedback to their PRs in Pandas or in open source in general are the maintainers. So when we address feedback from the maintainers, we would like to be respectful to them, and we would like to be patient with them. Most maintainers are like us rin naman, that are volunteers, and they are not paid to do it. We shouldn't answer like this, and we shouldn't answer like this if kita siya. Pero basically, the white image says, were you able to resolve the issue? No, I decided to not care. And the second one is, assembly support is mandatory. and must be added before this PR is approved. He said, I don't want to say it, but but the maintainer merged it, so it's kind of funny. But please be respectful to the maintainers. Lastly, quality over quantity. This is very important, especially right now. It's Hacktoberfest. Actually, maintainers hate Hacktoberfest because there are a lot of spammy PRs in Hacktoberfest, and as someone that's starting to contribute, we want to prioritize the quality of our PRs, not the quantity. Instead of opening multiple bad quality PRs, we would like to focus on one contribution instead with good quality. And personally, it would be better for the maintainers and for the project kasi if we have multiple low quality PRs, the maintainers will waste some time to review that. So should focus on quality instead. Now, for my experience, I've shared earlier in the earlier slides that, or regarding my first contribution, which is just a one-line document change, Pandas contributor, by the way. But this is my current favorite PR. This is related uh, to CSV function. So those that have used Pandas would be most likely familiar with this. So this is a performance improvement to data frame to CSV when the index is equals to false, which is basically the parameter. Now the issue here is whether the index is false or whether the index is true. Same lang yung time na it took to run the toCSV function, which is weird because the index parameter basically, if it's true, by default, it builds the indices or the index column and kind of sinasama niya yun sa CSV. If index is equals false, basically it doesn't build the index and put it into this outputted CSV file. Now, we can see here that um, this is just a simple change with the help with the maintainers as well as the one that opened the issue. I've pinpointed that this is mainly the issue. Basically, I just added kind of couple of lines lang here where if self dot kita ba? Wait, let me. Ayan. And inad ko lang na, okay, so IX basically is where the index column is being built. Now, what happens originally is, even if index is equals false, the index gets built and then it gets dropped in the end. Now, that's inefficient kasi technically binibuild niya pa rin. That's why it almost has the same time as index is equals true. For this, I just added if self and level is not equals to 0, create that empty array. And basically, self and levels is not equal to 0 means index is equals to false. So basically, if index is equals to false, just create an empty array instead of building it. So from there, hindi na natin binabuild yung index. We just put an empty array. So from there, we have a very drastic improvement in terms of the time from 869 seconds to 51 seconds. So that's around 95 and above percent improvement in time. So from this very simple change, we had a very nice improvement from one of the functions that I use a lot. Of course, this is not perfect. May mga feedback rin yung maintainers for my PRs. And overall, we addressed it properly naman. Now, lastly naman, for the why would you contribute to open source? Personally, aside from being it volunteer work, what I like about open source is, or contributing to it is, it improved my Git knowledge and how one collaborates using Git. I learned about upstream branches, about rebasing, stuffs like that. And if you're kind of a fresh grad or a tech shifter that wants to get your first tech job, if you want kind of a work experience without actually working, it feels the same as open source personally kasi in terms of the Git collaboration with the maintainers. And then, ayan, it's a good addition to your resume, can be fulfilling. You get an in-depth knowledge on the project. And since most open source projects are very large, for example, sa Pandas, there are multiple files, tas maraming 1,000 lines of codes, you will improve your ability to trace code or trace back code in multiple and large projects. So this talk is actually inspired by this YouTube video by Vanessa Pine and Derek with Huis at Demox. Here she shares his experience in contributing to FFmpeg. So I also suggest to that you guys watch this as well kasi it gives another perspective on another open source project. And I'm gonna spoil you a bit. It's a lot more harder in FFmpeg because they don't have GitHub issues and GitHub PRs. They use Git send email and Git patch, which is very old school. But yeah, it's nice because you get the other perspective on it. And yeah, that's all for me. Here are my links or social media if you'd like to connect with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for that engaging and practical session. Let's now open the floor for a few quick questions.
Hi, Kevin. I don't know
Hello.
if you met me earlier sa PyCon Davao. I have a question for you regarding on your Pandas contribution. So now with the age of generative AI, so do you guys incorporate some sort of AI into your ano ba, sa project, or is it depends on a per contribute per maintainer like setup?
I have seen a couple of AI PRs in Pandas and all of them get rejected. Kasi parang yung standalone AI PRs are not approved because there are very strict standards in terms of contributing, and most of the time the Gen AI agents doesn't understand them fully. But as an alternative, you can use AI kind of to assist you in contributing and kind of use it and revise what the AI gives you or suggests to you to the standards of the project that you're contributing. And yeah, personally, that's what I use. I talk to AI on how would I do this better, something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there
Hello, sir Kevin. My question is for in behalf of the students here. My question is, what are your recommendations for students about pursuing their thesis about contributing to an open source projects? Let's say they were going to explore their thesis about contributing and fixing issues and they have an open source project instead of creating thesis of a sort of a machine learning projects
Mm-mm.
and a sort of development process. This is a good revenue for students who want to explore in
Yeah.
behalf of an open source project. I really like your talk.
Thank you. For me, it's good to have a thesis regarding open source kasi parang it's a new breath of life. Kasi from the thesis that I'm seeing, puro machine learning AI related. So that's definitely a green light for me. In terms of recommendations on what open source to use, I guess talk with your team, thesis mates, on what projects do you guys mostly use. Kasi in terms of contributing first time, it's recommended to contribute to the project that you already use para you have this base knowledge on it. Thank you.
okay? So we are.